Hello, welcome back to Aether. This is Satomi and Paul from sakasa.ca. So today we are keep going with the theme how to heal with the psychic, but today's topic is
how to speed it up.
how speed
up healing, growth, right? Development, right? Because process can be
very slow.
It can be very rapid, very slow, go all over the place. It's a journey, right? So
And lots of people feel stuck and not going anywhere. I've tried so many different things and not going. Am I healing or not healing? Right. So I think everybody wants to have a fast healing. So how to speed up is that's a good things to know.
Yep. And as always, questions and comments are welcome. And if you do like the content in this video, please like, share, and subscribe to our Sakaso YouTube channel. And so let's dive right in. How to speed it up.
Okay.
So the first thing that I was, considering while I was putting together notes for this, we talked about the basic idea, but then this came in while I was putting my notes together. It's like, well, you really want to consider all the videos in this series. We're focusing on different aspects of it. And if you're bringing them all into the picture, both the ones that we've already recorded, and there's going to be more after this, then you're going to be in the best position to move forward quickly. So please do that.
You're talking about Aether?
Yeah. Aether, it also, and especially the how to heal with the psychic stuff that we're doing right now. But one the two that popped into my mind as being very relevant to what we're talking about today is part one in this series of how to heal with the psychic that was connecting to the message, right? And we'll get into that more here in a minute. So how you can connect to the message when you're using your own intuition, right? So because Satomi, as the psychic that you're working with, then she's bringing that message to you, right? But if you're using your own intuition, then you can connect with it. But we'll talk more about that exactly. And then also part 13, to be cunning, right? That was cats jumping around here in the room. That one jumped out at me as well, because you always want to bring everything you've got to the table, right? You want to bring all of your skills, your ingenuity, your insight, and your intuitive insight, your willpower, all that stuff. There she is. Say hello, Gigi. To the table for the healing process. You need it all, right? You need your patience. You need all these good things, right? That not to take things personally, to always do your best. The 4 agreements kind of stuff, and all those kind of good spiritual practices. They all help. So that's the be cunning part, So let's talk about using your own intuition. Right. So, that's, like I said before, that's how Satomi's message makes sense. And you might also ask here, I'll throw this in here now. So why would you use your own intuition? Isn't that why you're working with a psychic? Right. That question is, perfectly valid. In the end, I think you can get a lot of stuff done if you're not using your own intuition and just relying on your insight. So I could get a lot of stuff done by working with your insight. So I would say perhaps in the end, not absolutely essential, but the pace at which you get there and your ability to receive the messages that you're giving is directly proportional to using your own intuition.
Yeah.
right, as well, right? So there's a big factor there.
It's and because we're talking about speed, so yes, it will speed up using your intuition. Will speed up, of course, because you're using two people's intuition instead of one, right? And also, if you are just relying on somebody else's ability, always, like you wanted to come to me for reading so many times, so often, I pretty much try to fire you. Like, no, I'm not doing it because you. At the end, you need to develop and then you need to learn or relearn to use your own power. That's why we are here, to connect our own power, not using somebody else's power and live with somebody else's power. No, you want to learn to use your own power, your own wisdom, and then you are fully you. That's why we are here, and then you keep using somebody else's psychic ability all the time instead of connecting to yourself. You're gonna be stuck somewhere. You might heal some, but you're gonna get stuck again.
Yeah.
And then you're gonna start suffering again.
So
right?
Absolutely. What I'd like to say in relation to that is that, I mean, our experience points to the reason why we get sick, the reason why we have troubles manifesting abundance with relationships, all that kind of stuff, is because we're not aligned with our authentic self, right? So we're not being who we really are. And that's why the sickness comes. That's why we end up creating it, because we're out of alignment with our true self. And by not using your intuition, not working on it in some fashion, then you are missing the mark of hitting your authentic self to some degree. You're not quite aiming for the center, right? So you're saying, I'll accept working with this much stuff. I'll work on this part of myself and develop it, but I won't work on embracing my whole self, right? And so that automatically will end up taking me somewhere a little bit different than my authentic self, and leaves me open to those problems.
Yeah, and
just
of course it's gonna slow down your healing process.
Yeah.
Right? Because you're not looking at the whole picture.
Yeah. Because I mean, our perspective is that every single person is intuitive and therefore psychic. So everybody's psychic. There's just a varying degree to which we work with it and not get the messages mixed from coming from other sources, from our ego and stuff like that, from fear. So, and that's perfectly normal, but there is a way to work through that stuff, right? So there is a way to work with your own intuition to be able to, like we're saying, to receive the messages that you're giving, right? So I mean, that's how your stuff makes sense, right? And it also because you resonate with it, right? So actually, I'll go back to that for a second. I don't know if we said that exactly, but when you provide a reading, it makes sense to me when I resonate with it. If I don't resonate with it in some fashion, so if I don't see the connections that you're making, that you're saying, that you're talking about, if you say, you know, I'm seeing there's a tragedy or something like that, and I'm kind of closed off in some way, right? Like I don't want to deal with any of that part of my life or something like that, and I just don't want to go there. So I'm not going to be open to using my intuition to working with you in that area. I may not even really understand what you're talking about. I may even say, no, that I don't see that. Right. And that happens with some clients, right? That's what happens in rough sense, right? There's other, variations, but in a rough sense that happens. But most of the time people do use their intuition in some fashion in their reading with you. They're because we are involved with our intuition all the time. It's just how much we can really hear a clear message, how we can work with it in a practical way.
Yeah, sometimes you don't want to hear it because there's some reason, there's a protection.
Yeah.
Right? Protection mechanism is working, and then you subconsciously you are denying it, you are disconnecting it, and so you don't see or feel the connection, and then no, that doesn't make sense, right? That's how it can happen. Yeah.
Yeah. So then for this part here, right, like when this is what I was saying earlier about being cunning, right? So when you are using your intuition, it makes you powerful because you're able to come into a given situation and adapt to it, no matter what it is, right? So like the reading's over, right? I go and do live the rest of my day, go to work, go shopping, deal with family, right? All that kind of stuff. Then go see friends, whatever. All of that is happening in real time, and it's complex. It's really complex. And in order to deal with it effectively, you have to be, some people really push away their intuition, and that limits their ability to work effectively in given situations, in a lot of situations. But when you are open to it, it makes you much more capable of dealing with stuff just in the moment, right? Just as it comes up, it's like, oh, I'm kind of getting not a good feeling about this person, right? I'm not sure why. I just met them. There's something going on there, right? So you get that gut feeling, and it's like, hey, maybe I should kind of limit how much I engage with this person, and move on. You might find out later that person really didn't mean very well, right? Maybe they wanted your wallet or something, right? So like, using your intuition makes you very powerful that way. It makes you adaptable and capable in working with situation. It makes you strong. It makes you independent because you're able to function effectively in the world, basically, right? And it's all that stuff is not possible for you to be there constantly, whispering in my ear, trust this person, don't trust that person, that kind of stuff all day long. And that doesn't work. I need my own intuition, right? So I need to be able to build that in some sense and bring that to the table and work with you, or just working on my own. And that's another important aspect to this, right? Is that, we'll get to examples later on here, but I could not have made the progress that I've made up till now unless I was working with my intuition also, right? You could only do so much.
Yeah, right? And I like it. How can I say? Like I was saying earlier, it's if I feel that you relying on reading so much, I can feel this is an issue, right? Different issue, and then I'm not gonna give him reading because it's creating an issue and it's making it bigger, right? So yes, he have to learn how to use his intuition. That's the way to get better for him, right? And so yeah, it's just everybody's different, but when when I was sensing it, and the sense it's getting stronger and stronger. Like it's not helping me.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not gonna do it. It's like you were like, why you don't give me a reading? Why you don't want to do it? You gotta figure out on your own. Sometimes you have to walk on your own. You cannot just keep using, wheelchair or bicycle or car. You have to sometimes use your own feet, right? And that's part of the path. So, yeah.
Yeah, you can't always have the option to phone a friend, right?
Yeah.
Phone a psychic friend. So, yeah, so absolutely, right? This is how we started this conversation, because you suggested maybe we talk about connecting to the spiritual message that's hidden inside the pain and suffering that we experience, right? So pain and suffering could be like the healing that you would maybe want in your life, right? Or it could be healing your life in some fashion, the relationships, abundance, all that stuff, right? So, let's just ask that. Let's ponder that for a second, and let's ask this question: how does a spiritual message connect to my pain and suffering? We talked about it in very general terms. Would you want to say anything more about it?
How does a spiritual message connect to my pain and suffering?
Yeah.
I'm a little bit slow today because I have sleep, so just bear with me. My brain's not really working, but let's say you have stomach issue, a pain in the stomach, and doctor cannot diagnose anything, and they don't see anything. But there's a pain. I feel pain, and there's something wrong, right? And
I've been there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And or any other pain or any other issues. So the pain, in like to me, how I understand pain, is it's a sign that your body is sending you that you need to pay attention to that place, right? And then if you keep ignoring it, pain's going to get bigger, right? And then it spreads out and creates more issue. It just goes on and on and on if you don't do anything. But people say, I've been doing so many things and it's still not going away. And I try everything, and the pain in the stomach, it doesn't go away. Right? If you've done everything, and like a general thing, like a taking pill, medicines, and do whatever, eat this and do this exercise.
Don't eat that. Right?
Or don't eat that.
Yeah.
Right? And then done everything and you're still having that pain that's not going away, it's something else, right? And it's not just physical thing, and doctor cannot see it. It's not physical thing. They have to go deeper where it's a spiritual, energetic level. You have to go in. You can say subconscious level. To me, subconscious level, energetical level, spiritual level, it's kind of all same thing.
It's hard to separate them. If there is a separation, I don't know. Right? Yeah.
I cannot separate.
Yeah.
So you gotta go in and then listen to that sign, and listen to your body, or listen to your energy, your spirit, your higher self. You have to connect using your intuition. Then there is something you can feel. For example, when I have pain, right? Maybe that's one way of asking and going deeper. When I have pain, is that 24/7 or it's occasional, right? Okay, it's occasional. So when is that pain happen? When is the last time I had pain? What happened before pain, right? Pain
Or
occurs.
am I anticipating something, right?
Yeah, so you
Anxious, right?
you can go into the pattern, but you gotta go beyond that. I have pain, and there must be some problem, physical problem, and doctor cannot see, right? That they're missing something, right? You gotta go beyond that to energetical level or emotional, mental level, and then ask yourself and just put yourself on a table and you look at yourself, right? And the surroundings, and from third person's eyes,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And then you can see something instead of there must be something wrong and they cannot see. You have to go past beyond that, but you have to do that and ask yourself and just open and be, what would be the word, I don't know, be
That's a good question, actually.
Yeah.
Is it receptive to different perspectives,
Yeah,
to
yeah.
explore
Yeah,
different
yeah.
perspectives,
I think so. Yeah.
to leave room in the conversation that you're having with yourself for a different explanation.
Yeah, and
right?
then try.
Not non-standard. In other words, like it's not necessarily going to be in the anatomy book, right? Anatomy encyclopedia.
Yeah.
It might be something else.
Yeah.
Right?
Go outside of the box that you are in, and then trying to find different angle. So that's why you want to look at yourself from the third person's eye, right? Not that your eyes that you've been using to look at yourself and use different angle, and then maybe this, maybe that, right? And then you just kind of brainstorming and without taking it personally, without judging yourself, right? Just be neutral and then just brainstorm like that's somebody else, right? It's not like don't disattach yourself from the pain, right? From the suffering, and then you can just see more neutral way, and it's the healthy way. If you are seeing from pain and the fear that it's not gonna go away, then you cannot have healthy perspective, right?
Yeah, you're talking about sorting between the different voices that kind of speak in our minds, right? So like, if I've got pain, is it the first thing I think? Oh no, it could be cancer, right?
Yeah.
Is that, and then do I obsess about that and say, oh no, cancer runs in the family, right? And you just go down and just be totally terrified of that, and that's the only voice that you hear. Right? You're not going to be very connected to your intuition when you do that, right? Because there are those different voices inside of us, right? Or if we listen to the perspective, like, no, it has to be an explanation that follows what I learned in grade 9 science, right? Because honestly, I mean, you don't have to embrace anything spiritual. You can simply go with what's very practical and entirely scientific. You just look at the work of Bruce Lipton, for example, right? He's talking about a different way of looking at the scientific data, essentially, an open-minded and inclusive way of looking at it, and sees you as a whole being with, you have an effect you do. Your mindset has clearly been shown, and he's bringing things together. Your mindset has clearly been shown to have a tremendous effect on your health, right? Just like practicing meditation, for example, has a tremendous beneficial effect, and that's why, because you're creating that healthful, authentic mindset when you're meditating. So the more you're in that space, the more health you will enjoy, right? And that's just the way it works. And that's what Bruce Lipton is talking about. And he's very scientific. He is a scientist, and he explains the biology, how it goes all the way, connects all the way down from your beliefs, right, to your genes and activation of different genes. So what you said about having those putting yourself on the table and examining it from different perspectives, that's one way, right? I'm just talking about grade 9 science book, right? Versus or what you might get told when you visit the doctor, right? Versus something like Bruce Lipton. And you don't even need to go into like a spiritual domain necessarily right away. You can explore things from a variety of perspectives and be open to each of those, and then not just letting fear run crazy in your head, so that you can actually hear the voice of intuition.
Because right? Most of us, most of us, it's easier to see on somebody else, somebody else's problem. It's easier to see, and then sometimes it's obvious why he doesn't get it. Like he has to just stop drinking, and he's gonna be healthy, right? He's so he has some issues like health issues, and he's miserable, and he doesn't get it. Like he's saying he's fine, and he's complaining that health issues, and it's obvious, right? You can see other people's obvious issues, but for yourself, you lots of times too close to yourself, and then you can't see it, right? That's why I'm saying being a third person, just be neutral, disattached from your pain and suffering, and then fear. And then you are opening up some possibility to discover something that you haven't been seeing it, right? So that's one way to connect. And then I don't know, I'm answering this question, how does a spiritual message
I was going to come back to that. So in this question, there is the spiritual message part. We talked about the pain and suffering, how it has messages, right? But spiritual message. And we kind of covered it in the beginning when we were talking about how your alignment with yourself or misalignment with your authentic self determines how healthy or unhealthy you are, right? So is that sufficient, or would you like to add more to it?
Yeah, because like if it's simple pain, right, and you cut yourself, and that's why it's hurting. Yeah, because the cut, it's creating the pain, right? Or what else? This suffering will be a suffering. See, I'm a little bit slow. I did same episode in Japanese yesterday. I was faster, but today no. So like you cut yourself, or let's say suffering that you got stressed out because of the work, right? That can be a suffering, right? Or something, relationship with your family member, it's not going well, it's another suffering. And if you just look at the issue, the cut, right? And the boss is pressuring me, and I'm just stressed out. Or my family member is just being ridiculous, and right. And then you can say those are the problems. You can stop right there, and then might not go much farther. But why you have you had the cut, there might be a reason, because you were anxious about something, and then you just you didn't use knife properly, and then you cut yourself. And, okay.
So you weren't being mindful of what you're doing.
Yeah.
So you're kind of caught up in your head, and you end up cut myself, right? Yeah.
And then so instead of just stop there, because I cut myself, instead of stopping there, why did I cut myself? Right? Go beyond that, and because I was anxious about meeting with this person, and then I was kind of overwhelmed and scared, right? Then you're getting somewhere, right? Why you are scared? Keep asking yourself why you are scared. Are you afraid of being judged, or are you afraid of not your presentation or something not going great, or being afraid of losing a job, whatever, right? And then why you are afraid of, you just keep asking, and then you will have a message, the message that you can, and then you have some blocks towards something, right? The fear is always a block, that you don't need those unnecessary fear. Just meeting someone new, you don't need to have fear, because you don't know that person. You don't know that person's gonna be great person, or maybe not so great, but you don't know. You don't have to have fear before you meet, but you have fear, and that is making you anxious, and ended up you cutting yourself. It's not helping you, right? So there's a block, and then finding the block, and if you know that block is unnecessary, you can release that block, so you can grow, you can be yourself and meet that person with you as a whole, instead of right. So that's what I mean by spiritual message, that there's a message in, it's kind of, maybe it sounds like it's a little bit stretch, but there's always a message in pain and suffering, if you go in deeper. And why, if it's bothering you so much, right? It's oh, I cut myself, and that's okay, and I can keep going.
No, I mean, perhaps I'm an easy audience with this, but I'll kind of say it in some different words, how I'm receiving what you're saying. Maybe that'll help convey it. Maybe it's obvious to the audience, I'm not sure. But please send us a question if it isn't. If when you talk to a doctor, they'll always say that that your illness, so let's say you got stomach problems, like you're saying earlier, it's because of stress. When you talk to doctors, they'll say that stress is responsible for, I don't know what percent, like 95% of all illness, kind of thing, right? But they'll stop there. They'll say it's stress. That's pretty abstract. So what you're saying is what's causing the stress. And what you're saying is that ultimately it's caused by a spiritual connection. There's a connection to an opportunity for growth.
Yeah.
So in other words, if you're the person who's stressed out about a presentation going wrong, right, and you've always been that way, let's say, right, you just, a lot of people don't like public speaking, right? So, and if that's the case, and that's an important part of your life, is to do that on a regular basis or something, well, there's something you want to work through, right? So then what is causing that stress? Are you simply not trusting yourself, and you don't have the confidence, right? Do you not like the way that you look, right? Because of, just, that's kind of, you're judging yourself, kind of thing, or you just nervous that you'll get tripped over your own words, like what happened one time a long time ago or something, right? Or that there's somebody in the audience that you already know is going to be there, and they're not really on good terms with each other, and that's going to throw you off, all these different things. So what is it that's causing that stress, right? And then that thing will end up pointing to more of the message, is what you're saying. So like, and ultimately that's an opportunity to embrace that confidence, for example, right? Because you can get that confidence, you can overcome that self-doubt, you can improve your abilities in so many ways in handling interpersonal conflict, right? Let's say that person in the audience you're not really getting along with, right? There are ways to improve handling of that kind of conflict on your side, right, of the equation, and just be able to deal with it, and have it not bother you. So it becomes then, that's the challenge, but then that challenge presents an opportunity and a spiritual message, which is a message to grow, right? Because if your stomach is creating serious health problems, it's time to embrace that spiritual message, that message of growth, of becoming more than what we are right now. And that's why you're saying that there's always a spiritual message that's in behind the pain and the suffering, right?
Yeah.
Even like I've been through stuff like relationships that didn't work out, right? There was something to learn from that. There's a spiritual message in there. Why did you get into the relationship in the first place? Right?
So if you are saying stopping, that person was a bad person, like picked the wrong person. If you stop there, yes, you're not receiving the spiritual message, and there will be no growth, and you're gonna end up having the same kind of relationship. And why I am such unlucky, and I'm not loved by God, or we can go on and on. But there is a message always in every pain, every suffering. There's a message for, and it's a chance. It's a sign that there's a chance. Right now is a chance. So you look into it, and then you can let go of something, and then, so you can grow, right? So yeah.
So, as in, like I hope we have the time for it to get into examples, but that's what helped me when I was working with you, was seeing that that connection, having that intuitive connection myself, right? In order to, because everything that I healed from, and you can check out my story on our website, sakaso.ca, right? So I'll just put that up on the screen here, actually. So there's our website, and everything that I healed from, I used my intuition as well as your input to heal from, or to grow through a spiritual message, a spiritual opportunity, right? All involves spiritual development. So, and that, like we were saying earlier, that spiritual message and growth is always connected to subconscious beliefs, right? Subconscious programming. So limiting subconscious belief, let's say that I don't trust myself, right? I don't have that confidence, right? Those are subconscious beliefs, as well as spiritual messages, right? If you're hearing about them and working with them. So that's where the intuition comes in, is connecting with that. And one thing I maybe want to point out too is having you, working with you as a professional, as a professional psychic, my connection to my own intuition was really helped, because I did not have that confidence, right? And so I was like, I think this is what's going on, and I even maybe venture sometimes to say, I think what I'm receiving from my guides is this, right? And that takes a little bravery right there to say that, right? And then and I would say, is that correct? And pretty much always you would say, yes, that's what I'm receiving, and then that's
I
true.
wouldn't say always, but
Yeah. Pretty
Yeah.
high.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Most of the time.
Yeah.
If you when you receive messages, you go into meditation and or quiet your mind, and you um, do your best to receive.
Mm-hmm.
So when you do that, then yes, you can receive,
Mm-hmm.
right? And so, and then you can use it as validation. That's what you are saying,
Mm-hmm.
and then you become confident with receiving messages, right? Because without doubting that you can doubting that you can do it, decrease your ability, right? Weakens your ability. So you want to do something that increase your confidence, so you don't doubt yourself, right? So getting other people's insight and intuitive insight will really help, and you can develop your intuition that way.
Yeah, absolutely. And so, I mean, we kind of talked about this in the previous episode about cunning, right? To be cunning in your approach to your healing, you're much more powerful to receive a more complete when you receive a more complete message when you working with you and my own intuition. So sorry, let me rephrase that. Using your insight in combination with my own. So like we're just saying there, for example, I'm receiving this. Is that correct? You say yes. And I'm like, oh, okay. And even when you did say no, I'm like, oh, that's the difference. Okay. So now I'm learning the difference between a message that maybe comes from fear versus a message that comes from my intuition. Right. So that really, really helps. And then you can pay more attention to the intuitive messages. Right. And that's just way more powerful. And that's why I was able to heal from all of those things. And in a pretty compressed period of time, honestly, right? It's been a few years, but that's a lot to do in that period of time.
Yeah, like receiving messages, like using your own intuition. You don't need to, at the beginning, you don't need to receive it on your own, but let's say when you receive a reading, do your best to connect instead of, no, that's not valid, right? There's a message coming through for you, and then there's a reason why it's coming forward, and then the message might be challenging you big time because you've been avoiding for your whole life, right? And then you want to deny it, but you gotta be honest and be open if you want to move forward and make a connection. Making connection is it has to be intuitive connection. It cannot be logical. If you stay in logical, no, it doesn't make sense, right? It doesn't logically make sense, so it's not right. You're not using intuitive ability, and then you're not connecting to yourself, right? You're shutting the door. So you don't have to receive messages on your own, but when you have someone delivering, be open and willing to be doing your part to connect, right? And that isn't you using intuition too, right? And
So, I mean, one example I can give here as well is that I was able, like my meditation, right? So the concussion I had, I still have some effects by it, but it's nowhere near what it was doing to me previously, right? And that's a tricky one to heal, right? There's no operation you can do on this one, right? There's no surgery. Maybe that's a good thing, getting in there. But yeah, because there's no even they can't even see any damage, right? So it's just like something got shifted, right? Whatever that is, it's very subtle. So to heal it, I had the intuitive impression that right from the start, that meditation would be the way to do it, right? And thankfully, even the doctor I was talking to, he was totally open to that. I mean, wow, that's great. So I thumbs up for that doctor. But I doubled down on that, and I tripled down on it. I slowly increased the amount of time, right? But it's not the time that really matters nearly so much, because meditation can be very frustrating. Meditation, you can be feeling like you're hitting your head against the wall. And I've meditated most of my life, but for a very long time, I was stuck. And I didn't know why. It was because of this PTSD and concussion and stuff like that. It was getting in the way, even though this was the way to heal from the concussion. So how to get around that? Well, I learned as I did it, I was always working with my intuition during the meditation. So in other words, I might get frustrated to a certain point, and I would ask myself, well, what is it that's going on that might be interfering? Right? So part of it was just simply muscle tension. Like I was always tensing up my muscles with this weird idea that was connected in some way of getting there. Right? And even to the point where I was doing things like clenching my jaw, right? Or there's even like your soft palate in your mouth, the roof of your mouth, and you can there's muscle activity you can work with that kind of creates sort of pressure, like a little bit in your brain, kind of. And I was actually even doing that, which is weird. So it's a little bit like when you kind of clench your jaw a little bit, you can create kind of a rumble in your ears. I do that when I'm like kind of playing rock music in my head. I'll get the bass going that way. I don't know if that makes sense to other people. I hope it does. But anyway, you can hear kind of a sound. You can make a sound sort of, and you can perceive a sound by muscle tension, right, in your scalp. So there's different ways to create muscle tension in your scalp. And so I was doing that actually while I was meditating, thinking on this weird idea that was actually part of the push towards getting somewhere. And it was so misdirected, and I didn't know it at the time. I went a completely different direction based on my intuition. Like I was doing that automatically, and I didn't know. And I'd pay attention while I was in that space. So what's going on here, right? I'm not just always trying to get there. I always also step back, like you're saying, put myself on the table there, and kind of step back, third party, and I'd kind of observe what's going on. It's like, is the stuff that's going on right now, what's going on, and is it helping? How about trying not that, right? And seeing if that helps, right? And that's how my intuition was helping me during the meditation. And so you would say to me, yes, meditate. That could mean literally a million different things.
I don't think I just said meditate. Yeah, I said that meditate too, but lots of times the way you're meditating, it's not helping.
No, I guess you did say that.
Many
You would say,
times.
I know you would say that. And it took me time to figure out what that meant, right? And
you're trying to
achieve. That was the biggest one you gave me.
Yeah.
And I used that information. So what does that mean? I'm trying to achieve. Well, yeah, I mean, of course, I'm trying to achieve enlightenment or something, right? It's like, of course, right? It's like, so I go for a while, and I'd come to you with some pains, and you'd be like, well, there's the achievement thing, during meditation, right?
Yeah.
So and I'd be like, what do you mean? So it's like, so I have to step back and look at it, and it's like, actually underneath in this sneaky way, so there's sneaky levels of PTSD anxiety that we're getting in there, and we're masquerading themselves as things to help me, move forward, or to achieve, or to get there, or to get into that space, or recall that feeling, that great feeling I had that one time, right? All that stuff, those things were not helping.
Yeah, achieving.
And that it was my intuition that told me that.
I don't know, it's everybody, but the way you are trying to achieve, you are losing mindfulness, being here, right? You're always trying to get there.
Trying to get there, exactly. Yeah. So I'm not in the present. You're exactly right. That's exactly it.
So that was creating
the
pain, not accepting yourself, not loving yourself who you are right now, those things. So
that's that combination. I hope that's clear. Is that you would give me that in that clue, that really, really important clue of let go of achievement, right? And during the meditation, right? Or also in general, you meant it, right?
Yeah, but meditation, like achieving somewhere in meditation, that was big.
That was big for me. Oh, big time. Yes, big. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So you gave me that direction, but then how am I doing that, right? Because I didn't know honestly, I didn't know any other way. I didn't know any other way of being, I think, in my regular, ordinary day, other than that, achieving. I want to get to the top of the stairs. So that's my goal. I want to, I want to go and get groceries. I want to finish this course and get my certificate, right? I wanted all that stuff, right? Always achievement, right? So letting go of that, and how, like what it meant, right? Just like I was telling you about the muscle thing, right? Like it's all in different parts of my body, but also in my skull, right? And it's just odd, but there it was. And so figuring out what it meant by putting myself on the table and stepping back during the experience and looking at it, and then experimenting and finding out that the more I went that direction, the more it was helping, right? Letting go of all the tension, for example, right? And the achievement and all that stuff, right? So that's how I brought my intuition to the table to work with you as you were providing the intuitive guidance as well, right? And if I didn't do that, then I'd be like, what the heck do you mean by let go of achievement? I don't get it.
And you stop
I just
there,
don't. And I could stop right there. Yeah. So, and forget about all the other stuff, right? So, yeah, so that's one example. Did you want to bring another example of something, or
example of what it was?
Of the spiritual message that comes with healing, right? So, and then by getting to that point I should mention as well, to come full circle, by doing that, by using my intuition as part of the healing process, there was a spiritual message in every part of that whole process, and that was helping me. By working with that spiritual message, that helped me get past the pain and suffering of my concussion and heal from it. So I hope that was clear. That the achievement was stopping me from healing. Basically, boil it down to that.
Yeah. So, like, if you didn't receive the message, like you gotta let go of achievement you're trying to achieve, and that's creating a pain, right? And then what you're talking about, it doesn't make sense. And if you stop there, you didn't have this all those stuff healed, right? You would have still had it, but just because you or open and willing to connect to the message using your own intuition, and does it make sense, and coming from different angle, let go of the logic, right? And then you were able to start doing something and make progress, and now you're healed. Yeah. So yeah, I agree.
So yeah, there's that spiritual message hidden behind the pain and suffering, and that's how I was able to move faster through the healing process. So the speed and effectiveness of the healing process was completely determined by being open to that spiritual message and working with it intuitively.
Yeah.
Right.
So I'll ask you a question. Meditation, you said you were stuck for a long time. How long you would say roughly you felt stuck?
Oh, that's a good question. I would say probably, holy, that was a lot of years. Let's say close to 30 years.
30 years that
Yes.
you were stuck?
More or less, yes.
Okay.
More or less. I would still meditate, but it was kind of more maintenance because I was stuck.
Okay.
Right? So it was the progress all came when we started working this way.
Yeah. So 30 years you were stuck, and then once you start receiving messages using your intuition, working together, how long it took for you to get unstuck?
I started making progress right away, immediately.
So when you start
pretty much
using intuition.
When I started using my intuition and started coming at it from a different approach, put myself on the table, like you're saying, step back, look at it, and don't try so much and all that stuff, right? Then it was starting to make progress, or like I was starting to come into being my authentic self with it, right?
So that is something huge.
I would say so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
30 years being stuck, and then right away
and immediately, started making progress. It still took years to step through it, go from being completely stuck to making, or getting to where I am with it.
Yeah, but and then you said without the improvement in your meditation, with meditation, in getting unstuck with meditation, that helped you heal too, right?
Yeah, directly. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, the meditation, being in a deep state of meditation, is directly related to healing from the concussion. I wouldn't have healed from the concussion without it.
So using your intuition and be willing to receive the intuition that is that powerful.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think we came back to the first our theme.
This one?
Healing help. No, healing. Oh. No, intuition help speed up healing.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
So this,
So, anything else?
Well, I mean, there's a lot we can talk about and a lot to dive deeper. But if you are having problems with this kind of stuff, if you're finding it frustrating, right? If you're finding it frustrating to be able to connect with your intuition, to be able to work, to move forward out of pain and suffering, then it's going to be because of subconscious beliefs that are holding you back, basically. So anything that's a subconscious belief. Subconscious means outside of your conscious awareness.
Yeah.
And it's a set belief in how things have to work in your life, supposedly. And that stuff gets in your way and prevents you from moving forward, right? So, like, for example, in my case, achievement, right? So, letting go of that stuff is something that you can absolutely do and move past it. You just schedule a breakthrough session with us. It's free. Just come to our website, and we'd be happy to work with you and to help you work past it and connect with your healing and creating abundance in your life, beautiful relationship, all that stuff. And if you like the video, give it a thumbs up, like, share, and subscribe to our Sakaso YouTube channel. And we'll see you next week at 4 p.m. Eastern, right here on Aether. Bye for now.
Okay, bye-bye.